Good morning. Today we have a wonderful lead counselor talk for you. Today we're going to talk about dual credit AP courses, which is always a hot topic right now, right before enrollment season, which is getting ready to come upon us very quick. Today we have a special guest with us. We have Dr. Eisenmenger, one of our assistant principals here at LEAD, and one of the many hats that she wears. She oversees LEAD AP dual credit courses. So we welcome her to our counselor talk today to discuss everything we need to know about AP dual credit courses.
Good morning, everyone. So AP and dual credit, there are basically two different ways that a student can earn college credit at the same time as being a high school student. And these courses are just a great thing or a great choice for students to take because many students enter college with several credits already under their belt. And it's actually a cheaper option to do this in high school than to wait until you're at your university. And so this slide just talks about all the advantages of taking dual credit or AP courses. So, you know, it's preparing for your future and getting ready for everything that life is going to lead that you're heading into. Okay, so we have basically any course that has AP in front of it, which there are several, is advanced placement courses. So those are easy to distinguish. So if your student has a course on their schedule that has an AP in front of it, they are an advanced placement course. And the option for them to earn college credit is about a month into the course. So since we're in second semester right now, here in a few weeks, students are going to be given the option to sign up to take an AP exam in May. And those are given at the home high school. So they have to declare their intent. And they're either going to be able to, they either say they want to take the test or they don't want to take the test. If they don't want to take the test, then they will not be earning college credit for that course if it's an AP only course. So if they want to take the test, they declare it, they prepare using a College Board website where there's tons of study materials. So if your student is in an AP course and they've never mentioned a College Board website to you, you need to be asking them about that because that is where all their study materials are for the exam that is in May at the home high schools. The cost for the AP exam is about $100, except AP Seminar and AP Research are more expensive, but most courses are $100. If your student is free and reduced lunch, they will get a discounted or free rate on that exam. So that is the AP side of things. The dual credit side of things depends on teacher certification. So whether or not we can offer a course dual credit depends on if a teacher has, I believe it's 18 credit hours graduate level work over their undergrad work. So it's really a lot on the teacher to go and get those college credit hours, and a lot of times they're paying for it with their own money to do that. And so it's this teacher certification issue. But right now at LEAD, we have a lot of teachers that are certified to teach dual credit. And this slide tells you the courses currently that we are offering dual credit. So AP Psychology, Comp and Read, AP US History, Child Growth, Marketing, AP Biology, AP Environmental Science, Spanish 3, Spanish 4, and College Algebra are the current courses that we are offering dual credit.
I would note AP Seminar and AP Research is not on there. So those are two AP courses.
But they're not dual credit.
Oh, they're not dual credit.
Yeah, okay. They're not dual credit. We have, those two courses are AP only. This slide is showing the dual credit offerings at LEAD currently. Remember, we have tons of AP courses that are AP only. I mean, AP Lit, AP Lang, AP Psych, AP Research, AP Seminar, AP Bio, AP Environmental, anything with AP in front of it is an AP course. This slide shows the courses that are dual credit. And note here in a minute, we are going to talk about 3 of these in particular, AP Bio, AP Environmental, and AP Psychology, because those 3 courses, students have a choice currently. Do they want to take it dual credit? Do they want to take it AP? Or some students take it both. So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit.
That is a great thing to note.
Yeah.
Because another advantage of an AP course is it's increased rigor. So you do get a little bump in your GPA for taking an AP course, even though it might not be a dual credit course.
Right. So
Yeah.
AP courses do give your student a GPA boost. So that is another great thing about taking those.
And we do have a link here that you can access to see all the courses that we offer at LEAD.
This slide just came straight out of our course handbook. So if you want to read it, it talks about why we give AP courses here in Park Hill and why school districts choose to do so.
And we have a link to that course handbook later on in the slide as well.
Dual credit. Most of our dual credit courses are in conjunction with MCC. There is an advanced aspiring educators that students get dual credit from Northwest. But today, for our purposes, I'll be talking about dual credit through MCC. So to get dual credit, you have to do some things, and MCC always comes into all of our dual credit classes and helps the kids do this. And they've already been through this semester. So if your student's like, I don't know how to do this, they've had somebody in the classroom showing them how to do this. And then my door is always open. And then I have contacts at MCC that I can quickly email and get questions answered. And they always are very good about getting right back to me. So they have to basically apply to MCC. Then they have to do what is an intent to enroll. And this step is huge. Sometimes kids forget to do this step. And they think since they applied in step 1 that they are in the course already, and they are not. They have to do step 2 as well, or else they're not actually enrolled and they will not get dual credit. So they really have to follow the directions that MCC outlines for them. They have to meet eligibility guidelines, which we'll go over in a minute, and then they have to pay the tuition fees. This is basically the sheet that MCC is currently using. They have actually made it a little bit easier for students to qualify for dual credit courses. So sophomores, you have to have a GPA of 3.0 or higher. But notice that you are, unless you've actually taken the real ACT, which most sophomores have not, and the pre-ACT does not count. The real ACT, sophomores are going to need to go into MCC and take what's called an AccuPlacer test. And it's kind of a walk-in, come as you're ready, that type of day. You don't have to call for an appointment. You can walk in and take this test. But so it talks about the ACT score or the AccuPlacer that your student would need. And sophomores, everybody needs it. Juniors and seniors, they have basically let you guys qualify based on your GPA, except if you have a 2.5 to 2.9, I do believe you're still going to have to either have a qualifying ACT or an AccuPlacer. And the GPA is an unweighted GPA. So this would be your unweighted GPA. They do not look at your weighted GPA where AP scores bump it up. So they want the unweighted GPA.
Dr. Eisenmenger, how long does it take to take the AccuPlacer?
It depends what subject you're taking. So reading, which most of them require, I think that test runs about an hour. But if you're students in college algebra, that test runs longer, and they actually have to take two parts to that AccuPlacer. And another thing I want to point out, as far as qualifying, if you have a student that's a sophomore and they're a pretty strong student and they are going to head into college algebra with our new math flow chart, we will have sophomores taking college algebra. I encourage you to maybe consider thinking about having your student take the actual ACT as a sophomore, because one thing that does for them is it lets them get a benchline ACT score, so that's a win. And then if they get a 22 on the math section, which most of our sophomores that are in college algebra will get that probably, they don't have to go take the AccuPlacer. They've already qualified through the ACT. And so it gives them another testing option for the ACT. And that's personally what I'm going to do with my own student. I'm going to have my student go ahead and take the ACT at a younger age. But I understand I'm paying for that. We will pay for that out of pocket.
Yeah, that's a good point. Park Hill School District pays for juniors in March to take the ACT. If you're going to take the ACT at any other time, you just log on to act.org. There's a testing date about once a month. You do have to pre-register for it about a month in advance, and it's about a $90 charge. Students don't need the writing portion of the ACT, so that's one thing to note. So that is something that you can do. And we do have fee waivers available for students that qualify for ACT testing, and that's something that they would just reach out to their counselor for. That's a good point.
And so this is the step 1 and step 2 that we were talking about. Students have to apply to MCC and get accepted. And then for the dual credit courses, this is for dual credit, not AP. And then they have to fill out this intent to enroll that I was discussing earlier. And both of those steps are mandatory to actually be in a dual credit course. Then MCC will be contacting you about when payment is due, and they will be in communication with you after your student is on their roster. And if your student needs the AccuPlacer and they haven't taken the actual ACT, or maybe they have an ACT score that's not qualifying for them, this is all about where they will go to MCC to take the AccuPlacer and the dates that testing center is open and its location.
Yeah, it is open late on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so that's good to note as well. It does say arrive at least 90 minutes before closing in order to have enough time to take that test. And you must have a photo ID and your MCC ID number to test.
And you'll get your MCC ID number when you apply. So that's step 1. Students have to apply to MCC before they show up to take the AccuPlacer. And then this is just where you can go to take practice tests if your student wants to practice taking the AccuPlacer. And now this is for AP. So if your student is in an AP course, and remember, those are all those courses with AP in front of them, they'll sign up to take the test if they decide to take the test. Some students take the test, some students don't take the test. But if they decide they want to take the test and try to get college credit, they'll sign up through their AP teacher. They'll have a $100 fee added to their Infinite Campus account. And I always get questions on this. Both home high schools put those fees on at different times. And that's kind of out of our hands. But if you have questions about where's the fee, that sort of thing, you can email me, and then I will email their bookkeeper and see when those are going to be added. And I would encourage you to pay that fee as soon as it is in your student's Infinite Campus portal, because they're going to want payment for that exam. And unfortunately, if you just continue not to pay when your student is a senior, they will not be getting their diploma until all their fees are paid for. So you might want to just go ahead and pay each year for those. And then with AP, if your student is free or reduced, they will have a reduced rate if they're reduced, and if they're free, I believe the district will pay for that exam. And payment information for dual credit. Again, dual credit is, I believe MCC is charging about $60 per credit. And most of the classes are 3 credits, so that will run about $180. I believe Comp and Read is 6 credits, so that one's a little bit more. And I do have a little bit of wiggle room with some free and reduced lunch scholarships I can give, but I don't have a ton. So basically, if you sign up for a dual credit course through MCC, you are going to be paying for that coursework. and they want you to have it paid by the deadlines, or else they will drop you from the course, just like real college.
Yeah, for my own son, he's a junior in a different district. He's taking a dual credit class through Northwest, and we receive that bill directly in the mail. So it's not in Infinite Campus. You do receive that bill just like any other bill that you would receive in the mail.
Yeah, so it is important to know that dual credit charges are not in Infinite Campus. That's an important thing. I think you can pay it through the MCC portal, or they do maybe mail you like an actual hard copy bill.
There is a scholarship available through DESE, which is the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. So this is a great thing to look at. I would definitely look at eligibility, because there are some eligibility criteria here. But we just want to make sure that all people are aware that there are some scholarships available for these fees. This scholarship is in Zello, just like other scholarships. We use Zello to promote our scholarships. But I've also linked the website here as well. So just wanted you to be aware that there are some scholarships.
Okay, so this is the tough one. So we talked about 3 courses earlier: AP Psych, AP Environmental, and AP Bio. Those are our current courses that are offered both AP and dual credit. So you have a decision to make if your student's wanting college credit. And so you can think about it. AP, right now the state says if you get a 3 or higher on your AP exam, I believe most universities in the state of Missouri will give you college credit for that score. So that is great. However, if you think about it from the dual credit side, you're guaranteed your college credit if you get a C or higher. If your student's making a D or an F in a dual credit course, they probably need to drop that pretty quickly, because if they don't, that does go on their college transcript, and they're starting their college career with a D or an F, and that's not great. So if your student's not doing well in a dual credit course and they are taking it for dual credit, then I would be paying a lot of attention to those drop dates and thinking, okay, you still have a D, and we need to make a decision. Do we want this on our college transcript or not? And if you don't, then I would go ahead and drop that course. But you will still probably have to pay for that course, I believe. So it's kind of like real college. So you have a decision if you want to take it AP or dual credit. And a lot of times is my student a good test taker? If they're a good test taker, take an AP. It's less expensive, and they get another chance to take a kind of a high stakes test, which prepares them for their future. All right.
So a lot of questions come about how do credits, how are they transferred from high school or from the dual credit and AP to the college that they are going to. And so we have a document here about how students go through that transferring credit process. It is something students have to do. It's not something that just automatically happens. So you do have to log on to your College Board account or your MCC account to get those credits from MCC or College Board to transfer to the university that you are attending. And you can do that at any time that you are attending a new college. So this is a document for that. Okay, so this is just a time for questions. Right now, we're just pre-recording. So if you have any questions about dual credit AP, Dr. Eisenmenger is our expert. Of course, Ms. Colden and I, as student counselors, we feed a lot of those questions as well. And then if we don't know the answer, we always move it to Dr. Eisenmenger, and she is there to help us with those questions as well. Dr. Early, I know that you're here. Did you have any questions as you listened through the presentation?
No, I don't. I appreciate how thorough you guys are. I think more than just a question, or not a question, I guess just a statement that you guys have already touched upon, but it's something that we talk about a lot, is that these are wonderful opportunities, but people need to be prepared for the rigor. we quite often run into students who are awesome students, used to getting that A, and this could be, this could be a class that maybe challenges them a little bit more than the traditional class. And sometimes that kid who's always gotten an A might wind up with the rare B plus. And sometimes I would just say that's okay. I mean, we're talking about college level work, which is hard in general, but it's especially hard when you're a high school student. And sometimes people just aren't ready for that shift. Where I know my own kids have experienced that, where they, especially my youngest, who was probably my most academically strong, would breeze through classes because he was really good at doing school and being organized, and then he would hit an AP or a DC class, and it would kind of, it was a lot more challenging, as it should be. But I just think that's something people need to be aware of, that, even if you're a 4.0 student, you might get a slightly lower grade, but you do get that weighted bump anyway, which helps. And I think the biggest piece is that it prepares you for post-secondary education. So I would much rather see a student get a B plus in a class that really, really challenges them than taking the easier path. And I just think it's important for our parents and guardians to be aware of that. That might be a reality when taking these classes.
I love that you brought that up. I feed a lot of that in my office as well.
Sure.
And sometimes it's nice to kind of go through that process of when we get a grade that we're not used to, like a B or something, to kind of do that in this supportive environment where we can talk through it, and you have a lot of support.
Yeah.
Still,
and that's not to say that kids are automatically going to get a lower grade in those classes. Not at all. We have plenty of kids that come in and absolutely rock those classes. It's just they are a different level of rigor, and frankly should be harder. So it's just a thing that is a bit of an adjustment for some people.
Yeah.
Another question I thought of that I get is, will my university accept the credit? And that is a good question as well. And it's up to each university on which college credits that they accept. In my experience, most colleges, especially in our area, accept credits from MCC. So that hasn't been a huge problem. But I know that is up to each university of what credits they take.
Well, and speaking of that, I've been doing a little bit of research for our upcoming LEAD capstone that we're working on, and I've been reaching out to different colleges about what they want to see in their applicants. And like the universal message from every university, and I have reached out to some of our local schools, to some of the biggies like Harvard and Stanford, schools all across the country, keep coming back with this response. They want to see kids who have challenged themselves by taking the most rigorous courses possible. And that's where these classes come in. So when you are potentially in the running for a merit scholarship of some kind, or an honors college scholarship at whatever school a student might be applying to, they look at this to see, did they take challenging courses?
Good point. Okay. Our next counselor talk will be in February, where we will be talking about post-secondary planning as well. I love the title, post-secondary planning for late starters. There's a lot of us out there. So we'll just review everything we need to know about post-secondary planning. In March and April, we'll be talking about eligibility for NCAA and NAIA. And then, of course, summer opportunities and college visits. That's a really great counselor talk. So hope to see everyone at those future counselor talks. Dr. Eisenmenger, thank you so much for being here. You're a wealth of knowledge, and so we appreciate you joining us today.
Awesome. Have a great day, everyone.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.